I'm so accomplished. I have anthems. I have money. I'm a superstar. I have a great family. I ain't got the cap. When I talk, I mean it. There's a story about an Ecuadorian kid who tried to air me out 8 times in 2 days. This really happened, Shady. And for no reason. You know, when I went to jail, although it was a little time, I chose not to go to protective custody because you feel like, yo, I want to be with the people. I don't want to be secluded. The warden came to see me first minute I walked into jail, was like, yo, we have this tail leaders.
One thing about Fat Joe is he's always got stories for days. And one of his go-to tales is how he's constantly almost dying in different situations.
So Nori calls me, what a blessing in disguise. So I go, yo, Nori, I can't line you up. They're about to pound me out tonight, right? Because they was coming. What they call them, not the Aryan Nation. What are they in Germany?
Skinheads.
Skinheads! It's like these are the skinheads, Joe. They are coming. These guys don't play. They burn people in cars and like that.
For fans, while some of those stories might have some truth to them, since Fat Joe really did come up in a dangerous era, a lot of them come off as overly dramatic, far-fetched, or just plain lies. Let's break it down. So because so many people have been calling cap on Fat Joe's stories, he's clearly taken notice. In fact, he's even addressed it in interviews, swearing that he's not lying. According to him, he's done so much in life, accomplished so many things, that he doesn't even have a reason to make anything up.
I'm so accomplished. I have anthems. I have money. I'm a superstar. I have a great family. I ain't got the cap. When I talk, I mean it.
And recently, Joe's kind of leaned into the whole cap narrative. Before telling a story now, he'll either lead with, yo, this one's true, I promise, or he'll joke around and say, let me tell y'all a cap story, before launching into it. It's almost become part of his storytelling style.
When I was a kid, I was 10 years old. I'm gonna give you a real cap, right?
But while a lot of people respect the fact that Fat Joe really has achieved a lot in his career, that doesn't automatically mean every story he tells is 100% real. Some folks still believe he stretches the truth here and there. Now, out of all his almost died stories, one of the wildest ones he's told goes back to his hustling days. According to Fat Joe, back when he was selling drugs, the rule was simple. Nobody outside the crew was allowed to hustle on their block.
Back when I used to sell drugs, nobody could sell drugs on our block. It's just what it was.
So one day, a group of Dominican dudes pulled up and tried to sell dope on their turf. Joe claims he and his crew weren't having it. They ended up shooting the block up just to send a message and chase them off.
So one day these Dominican came and they was hustling. We shot the block up.
But here's where it gets crazy. The very next day, Fat Joe says he was just chilling, walking with a girl, when out of nowhere a truck pulled up. The doors fly open and about 10 Dominicans jump out, all strapped with 9s, ready to take him out right there on the spot. According to Joe, in that split second, he thought it was over for him. But then, like something out of a movie, his boy Obi just happened to be driving by on a motorcycle. He stopped, stepped in, and somehow talked the dudes down.
The next day, I was walking with a girl and a van jumped out and it was 10 Dominicans, these Dominicans strapped. My man Opie was just driving by and he was on a motorcycle and he stopped. He was like, yo, what's up? This is my brother.
Joe swears that even though they had all those guns and were ready to blast, they respected Obi and his word enough to let him live that day. Now here's the problem people have with this story. Some folks are saying it doesn't add up. Like 10 dudes armed to the teeth, already heated and ready for revenge, are just gonna stop mid-mission because they respect one guy? A lot of people argue that in real situations like that, nobody pauses to have a conversation. If they're out for you, they unload the clip, make their point, and disappear. So while some listeners give Joe the benefit of the doubt, others are convinced this is another one of those stories where he's adding extra spice to make it sound bigger than it really was. And then there's another one of Fat Joe's I almost died stories that he swears by. This time, according to him, it involved some Ecuadorian dude who was apparently out to get him. Joe says this guy tried to take him out not once, but 8 different times in just 2 days. And according to Joe, he had no idea why. The way Joe tells it, this dude was just locked in on him for no reason at all.
There's a story about an Ecuadorian kid who tried to air me out 8 times in 2 days. This really happened, Shane. This guy was like, and for no reason.
Joe even goes into detail about one of those attempts. He claims the Ecuadorian dude shot up their rental car so bad that people outside thought he was done for, but he made it out untouched.
He shot up my whole rental. We was in there. I hear the block going, oh my God, they killed Joey and Tony. Then we get up.
And according to him, after surviving that, he and his crew tried to turn the tables. They hit the streets trying to find the guy, hunting him down, but no matter what, they couldn't catch him slipping. And then there's this other story Fat Joe tells about when he did some time in jail. According to him, when he first got locked up, they offered him the option to go into protective custody. But Joe says he turned it down because he didn't want to be secluded from everybody else. He wanted to be with the regular inmates.
You know, when I went to jail, although it was a little time, I chose not to go to protective custody because you feel like, yo, I want to be with the people. I don't want to be secluded.
Now here's where the story gets interesting. Joe claims that the moment he walked into the prison, the warden himself came straight to see him. According to Joe, the warden sat him down and warned him about all the dangerous guys in there and advised him that he'd be much safer if he stayed in protective custody. Basically, he's painting the picture that even the head of the prison was personally worried about his safety.
The warden came to see me first minute I walked into jail, was like, yo, we have this tail leaders.
But once again, a lot of people heard this and immediately called cap. And it's not hard to see why. First off, nobody needs to remind you that a penitentiary is full of dangerous people. That's literally what prison is. Everyone in there knows the kind of men they're locked up with. So for many people, the idea that the warden had to spell it out for him sounds a little off. Second, many fans also believe that there's no way the warden of a prison is taking time out of his day to come personally brief Fat Joe on who's in there and how dangerous they are. They point out that that's just not how it works. That wardens don't sit down with new inmates like it's an orientation day at summer camp. At best, you'd get a correctional officer running through the rules. Now, to be fair, not all of Fat Joe's stories are considered complete cap by people. Some of them have actually been confirmed by other people who were there. The main issue for many skeptics is that they believe Joe has this habit of blowing things up bigger than they really were, which makes his stories sound unbelievable, even when there's truth to them. A perfect example is this other near-death experience he swears happened in Germany. According to Joe, he was out there doing press when he ran into some real dangerous types, skinheads with swastika tattoos all over them. These weren't just regular guys, these were hardcore, violent dudes. Now, one of them apparently felt like he got scammed out of $50,000, and he believed that Fat Joe was behind it. The guy even pulled out a contract to prove it. Joe says he looked at the paper and told him it had nothing to do with him. But the guy wasn't trying to hear that. He kept demanding Joe give him the money back.
They had the swastikas. They had the real Hitler shit. They had tattoos. They brought the guys with the Hitler on their baldies. Some shit, so a dude comes with a paper. I get it. No disrespect, I get it. Somebody beat him for $50,000, wasn't me. Right. So he comes with the contract. Fat Joe, I send you $50,000, this, that. I said, bro, it must be a mistake.
So what does Fat Joe say he did? He claims he stood tall and got ready to scrap right there. He told them flat out he wasn't paying them anything, and if it came down to a fight, then so be it. According to Joe, in that tense moment, the gay guy who ran the club stepped in between them and literally saved his life. While the skinheads were distracted, Joe says he ran upstairs, grabbed a fork, and got ready to defend himself.
And I was like, yo, what's up, man? Whatever y'all want to do. I'm not gonna lie, this is the humor to the story. It was a gay guy who ran the club. Man jumped in the middle of them and saved me.
man, Joe, nah, you can't, not a year. When he distracted them, I spun out. I went upstairs, I got a fork. I'm chopping in the fork like I got the fork like.
Then, right in the middle of all this chaos, Joe says his phone rang. It was N-O-R-E calling to check in. Joe told him what was going down and even tried to tell him to not come. But according to Joe, N-O-R-E pulled up anyway, and not just by himself. Joe swears that N-O-R-E showed up 100 men deep to back him up.
So Nori calls me, what a blessing in disguise. So I go, yo, Nori, I can't line you up. They're about to pound me out tonight, right? Because they was coming. So I'm going like this, and Nori calls me, I tell him not to come. Nori comes with 100 guys. These guys got tattoos all over.
Oh, we got tattoos too.
Now here's where the story gets interesting. N-O-R-E was actually sitting in the same interview when Joe told this, and he confirmed that the situation was real. It did happen. So that part checks out. But he made it clear that it wasn't 100 dudes. In reality, it was more like 35 to 45 guys. Still a serious squad, but nowhere near what Joe claimed.
So Cat calls me and I call him, excuse me, and he's telling me not to come. He's being honorable. I'm like, yo, I'm doing the exact opposite. So I'm looking around. I got 25 people here already. I'm like, can you call more people? They're like, I got 10 on deck right now. So we literally show up like 35.
And even after N-O-R-E said the actual number, Joe kept insisting it was 100. He just wouldn't back down from that. Some people argue that when Joe says 100 deep, he doesn't literally mean it. He's just using the way the streets talk, where 100 basically means a lot. But even so, it highlights Joe's style perfectly. He'll take a story that really happened, add some extra sauce to it, and suddenly it sounds like something out of a movie. That's why people are always torn with his stories. They know he's lived a wild life, but the way he exaggerates makes everything sound like cap to them. And speaking of Fat Joe and this whole 100 men thing, there's actually another story he tells where the number was really confirmed, this time by the other person involved. According to Joe, it happened in New York during a big moment for Ja Rule. Ja had just dropped a new album, it went #1, and they were all celebrating on stage. Joe says he was there with his entire squad, about 100 guys deep, living it up in the middle of the party.
Ja Rule's album released, New York, the #1 song. I got 100 niggas with me. We on stage doing the New York ignorant shit. 100 this.
Now here's where it gets wild. Joe claims that at some point, he stepped away from the crowd and off in the shadows, standing there in the dark, was none other than Roy Jones Jr., the legendary boxer. But Roy wasn't just there to party. According to Joe, he was actually there with one purpose: to confront him for a line Joe had thrown at him in his hit record, Lean Back.
I come out, I'm by myself, this standing there in the dark. I'm like, that's what. And he's standing, he's like, what's up?
Joe says the moment he locked eyes with Roy, he immediately knew what was about to go down. Roy had come ready to put hands on him. So before Roy could even swing, Joe says he rushed over, grabbed Roy's hands, and held onto them. He admits that he knew if Roy hit him, it was lights out. But Joe also says he told Roy something important in that moment. He explained it was nothing personal, just hip-hop, just a lyric. He even admitted that he knows that Roy would knock him out right here and now. But if he do, the 100 dudes he's got with him aren't gonna let that slide. And once that happens, it's gonna get real ugly, real fast.
And I said, listen, champ, you're gonna knock me out. No!
You're gonna have to do it. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Champ, it was hip hop. I'm sorry. When you knock me out, they're not gonna fight you.
They coming.
It's gonna be bad.
Right.
He looked to the side like a movie.
According to Joe, that little moment of honesty and street logic cooled the situation down. Roy never swung, and they managed to squash it right there instead of letting it blow up into something huge. And Roy Jones Jr. himself later confirmed this story. He admitted he really did pull up to check Joe about the lyric, and he also confirmed that Joe wasn't lying about being 100 men deep that night. Now, on the flip side of all those near-death experiences that people debate about, Fat Joe also has some stories that many people consider over the top and out there, with some folks calling straight cap. And to many people, one of the wildest, most unbelievable ones he's ever told has to be about this so-called 7-foot dude he claims he ran into when he was just a kid. According to Joe, he was only about 10 years old at the time, chilling at home in the projects, hungry and trying to whip something up to eat, even though by his own admission, he had absolutely no idea how to cook.
I'm 10 years old. I'm in the house minding my business in the projects, and I'm making some food. I don't know why I don't know how to cook.
Then, out of nowhere, he hears this loud scream from a girl in the hallway. Most 10-year-olds would have panicked, maybe hid under the bed, or called for an adult, but not Joey Crack. He says his first instinct was to grab a machete. Apparently back then, having a giant blade lying around the house was just normal in his household. So, little 10-year-old Joe opens the door, machete in hand, and for folks, what he describes next sounds like something pulled straight from a movie scene. He says he saw a girl he recognized from his building, dressed in a skirt, trying to cover herself up while apples, oranges, and bread were scattered all over the floor. Standing over her, he claims, was this massive dude, 7 feet tall, fresh out of jail, and looking like he was about to do something terrible.
A machete. I hear a girl scream. I open the door, and it's a girl I know from my building. She's Jehovah's Witness. She has a dress on. She's covering her private parts. Apples, the oranges is on the floor, the bread. And it's a dude standing over her. It's like 7 feet tall, fresh out of jail. He had a tank top.
Now, according to Joe, this is where instinct kicked in. Instead of freezing, he says he charged at the man full speed, swinging the machete like a little warrior. He claims he actually slashed the guy's arm, then chased him down the stairwell and even cut him again before the dude even realized what was happening. And when the man finally noticed it was just some chubby little kid from the project swinging a blade at him, he supposedly turned around and took off running.
Down on the guy, I give it to him, 10 years old. Ha! Now I know if you're a coward, you don't believe this story, you don't understand it, you might have called 911, screamed. No, I gave it to him. I hit him on the other side. Ha! Oh, this guy's like, well, he's a grown man, 7 feet tall. He realizes, oh, this is just a fat little kid.
After the whole thing went down, Joe says the girl, who he described as probably the most decent girl in the whole project, begged him not to tell anyone. Her family was strict, and she didn't want to be seen in the middle of that kind of situation. So Joe promised to keep the story to himself. And according to him, he really did stay silent about it for decades. Fast forward years later, when Fat Joe was working on his book, he thought about putting the story in there, but decided to pull it at the last minute because of the promise he made to her. But then, life threw a curveball. At his brother's funeral, that same girl showed up and, out of nowhere, told the whole story herself in front of everyone, confirming everything Joe had been saying. Joe says even he was shocked hearing her finally bring it up after all those years of silence.
But at my brother's funeral, she shows up. I haven't seen her in 30 years. And in the middle of, in the middle of the funeral, she says, Joey saved my life. He saved my life. A guy was trying to me, this, that. Joey came out with the machete.
Now, here's the thing. Whether you believe it or not is another story. Because when you hear it, a lot of people can't help but roll their eyes. I mean, a 10-year-old with a machete running at a 7-foot ex-con and actually making him run away? It sounds more like something you'd see in an action movie than real life. And that's exactly why so many folks stamp this story with cap the second they hear it. But Joe doesn't really care if people believe him or not. He tells it with the same confidence and conviction he brings to all his stories, like it's gospel truth. Now, if that story sounded wild, wait until you hear this next one, because Fat Joe really took things to another level with this one. At one point, he actually claimed that back in high school, he managed to rob his entire gym class. And we're not talking about a couple of kids or even a small group. According to Joe, he single-handedly robbed about 70 students at once. The way he tells it, he walked into the gym with no weapon, no crew backing him up, just him alone. And somehow his presence was enough to make dozens of teenagers give up their stuff without a fight. He says everybody just lined up, handed things over, and he walked away with so much loot that he couldn't even carry it all by himself.
I once robbed my whole gym. The whole gym.
Like
70
Like,
kids
robbed them?
without a gun. Like, yo, everybody give me your coats, give me your Walkmans.
And in his version of events, some of the same kids he had just robbed actually helped him carry everything out of the gym. Like, you just stuck somebody up, and instead of reporting you or trying to stop you, they're suddenly acting like your helpers, walking out with you and hauling your stolen goods. That's the part that really throws people for a loop.
I couldn't even carry it. Some of the guys I robbed had to help me carry the stuff with me.
Content creator Will Mills even addressed this exact story, and he basically said what everyone else was already thinking. He broke it down in a logical way. How realistic is it that you rob an entire gym full of 70 kids in the Bronx and not one person resists? Not one person tries to run and tell a teacher? Not a single fight breaks out?
He said he robbed 70 kids by himself at no weapon, at hand point. Went around, robbed everybody. So everybody stayed put. Nobody decided to jump him. He said he had so much stuff that some of the people he robbed helped him carry it. Come on, bro.
He even admitted that, yeah, maybe Joe did rob a few kids here and there, which is totally believable. But the whole class? And then getting free labor from your victims to help you carry out the robbery? That part just doesn't add up. And this is exactly why Fat Joe's storytelling has become such a big part of his legacy. And at this point, people almost expect his stories to sound unbelievable. Whether they're true or not becomes secondary. The entertainment value is what sticks.